Hi, I'd like to welcome you all to the new main jail. My name is Randy Denker. I'll be conducting the tour today. Just a little background about the jail. The total cost right now is running at about $81.5 million. So we put a lot of money into this. It's a very secure facility. The public lobby, which is what we're standing in right now, is basically the only entrance into the building for the staff, for the public, and the attorneys coming to visit their clients. They'd come through the front door, check in with the security officer, pass through a metal detector, and then the elevators you see behind me take the public right up to the floor that the inmates are housed on. This area is the arrest report room. This is where the arresting officers would come in with the prisoner, have them sit down at the bench, and the officer would stand here at the counter. At the old jail, the officers sit down at a table right along with the prisoners, and this affords us the advantage of standing up, so if the prisoners decided to stand up and walk out or something like that, the officer's right here, put them back down on the bench. We've just entered the booking area. We've come through those two doors. Jail staff would meet the arresting officer and the prisoner right there and pat down the subject. Once a person's patted down, female prisoners would be taken to the left as they walk in, and the male prisoners would be taken down this corridor here. The same features on both sides. This is just larger because we book more males than females. The intake officer would escort the arresting officer and the prisoner up to this window right here, hand over the paperwork to the clerk that's going to be working back here at the computers. They'll also inventory the property here, and once all that's accepted and the paperwork's completed, the arresting officer's back out the door, and then we'll take control of the prisoner and place him in one of the holding tanks down here, depending on what type of crime he was arrested for. The Detox Cell right here is for anyone that comes into custody that's under the influence. Will be placed in that cell. It's got a rubberized coating on it. It's got a phone in it. It's easily cleaned. We can just hose it down, and most people that are in there will stay in there 4 hours if they're public drunks, and then we'll just let them sober up and then let them out the door again. If they're arrested on another charge, once they're sobered up in this cell, we'll place them in a holding cell with the other prisoners, and they'll complete their booking process. This is a new concept as far as we're concerned for jails. Contra Costa does this. It's an open area waiting. If someone comes into custody who's in for a minor offense, they're really afraid for their safety in jail, and they're going to be cited out and released in a couple hours. If they're going along with the program, there'll be chairs installed right here. There'll be a television on the wall, and they can just sit down here, watch TV, use the telephones, and when their name's called to get fingerprinted and photographed, they'll just walk on up and do that. Like I say, Contra Costa does this. They don't even separate the male and female prisoners at this point. Everyone comes into this one holding area and completes the booking process. They don't have a problem with it, and hopefully won't have a problem with it either. We have a classification system here. You just can't take someone who's arrested and put them in a first available holding cell, because depending on the nature of their crime or their physical stature, you want to separate some people. We have single cells we can do that with, where the inmate would just go right into a single cell. We have safety cells where the room's a little bit padded. If they're a danger to themselves, we can put them there, have a camera installed inside, and we can monitor their activity. If they're general population type inmate, we'll put them in a multiple holding cell, and they'll be in there with several other inmates while they're at this booking process. This is a typical inmate elevator. We have 4 of them down here. We just bring the prisoner over here, put them on an elevator, and send them upstairs. This is a typical cell. This one's already been double bunked, so you can tell where the second bunk is going to go. We'd have 2 inmates inside there. It's 70 square feet. And basically, they're just going to stay in there and sleep in there. Not a lot of activity goes on in their cell. The area that we're standing in right now is the indoor recreation area. Now, every floor has one, and every half of the floor, the second half on the west side. And in this area, eventually we'll have weight equipment, exercise bike, rowing machine, ping pong, foosball, chin-up bar, you name it, and they have it here. Now, I mentioned the recreation equipment, the weight machines and the TVs and all that stuff. Now, that's paid for by the money that they spend on commissary. We make a profit, and that profit goes into what's known as the Inmate Welfare Fund. and there's several $100,000 in it. So they pay for all this equipment, they pay for the repair of the equipment, and it also pays the salary of civilians that come in and coordinate recreation activities. This is a living area. This is a day room. Behind the numbered doors is the cells, and the inmates basically would be sleeping in their cells, and most of the other time they'll be out into this area here. We consider locked up behind this glass here and the doors. So this would be their general living area. Now, to get to the outdoor or indoor recreation, that's a scheduled activity where they would only go out there maybe an hour a day or maybe an hour a shift. And we let them out for an hour, they'd come back inside, then we let the other day room out, go back. We wouldn't mix the two, or the three in this case. The 8th floor here is our disciplinary housing floor. It's laid out exactly the same as this. However, there's no furniture, there would be no recreation equipment, there's heavy-duty locks on the doors, and there's a food pass in the door. So if someone's a disciplinary problem, we'll just bring them up to the 8th floor, and they'll stay in their cells, and we'll feed them through the food pass, and they'll eat in their cells. And they'll come out maybe 3 hours a week for their recreation time, and that's it. Well, basically that concludes the tour. I want to thank you all for coming over and taking a look. No offense, but I hope I don't see anybody back here again.